Trump Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt absolutely ripped Tim Walz for living a sad existence when asked by a reporter what she thought about his statement that to give himself a boost every day, he looks at the declining price of the Tesla stock in this takedown that you are certainly going to want to see. This comes on the heels of Tim Walz making more and more media appearances, and you're about to see why. This is the Democrats' pathetic attempt to win over men. They actually think that Tim Walz is the type of manly man that is going to win young men back to their party. And this clip between Walz and California Governor Gavin Newsom is going viral as they talk about how that will be done. Brace yourself for that. But first, there is a lot of talk about these rogue district court judges preventing President Trump from executing his Article 2 authority as Commander-in-Chief of the United States. Leavitt addresses that here, and the stats that she drops about these judges' attack on Donald Trump are insane. Check this out. I'm Zach Costello.
Since you brought up the judges, I would like to point out that the judges in this country are acting erroneously. We have judges who are acting as partisan activists from the bench. They are trying to dictate policy from the President of the United States. They are trying to clearly slow walk this administration's agenda, and it's unacceptable. As the President said last night, we will continue to comply with these court orders. We will continue to fight these battles in courts, but it's incredibly apparent that there is a concerted effort by the far left to judge shop, to pick judges who are clearly acting as partisan activists from the bench in an attempt to derail this president's agenda. We will not allow that to happen. And not only are they usurping the will of the president and the chief executive of our country, but they are undermining the will of the American public, tens of millions of Americans who duly elected this president to implement the policies that are coming out of this White House.
These political activist judges were handpicked and planted by the Democrats in order to do exactly this: prevent the Trump administration from implementing their agenda. Here is Leavitt dropping some crazy stats on this.
67% of all of the injunctions in this century have come against which president? Donald J. Trump. Let me say that again. 60% of the injunctions by partisan activists in the judicial branch have come against President Donald Trump, and 92% of those have been from Democrat-appointed judges. This is a clear, concerted effort by leftists who don't like this president and are trying to impose or slow down his agenda.
At no other point in our nation's history has a president's agenda been attacked like this, and these numbers prove it. The Supreme Court needs to get these rogue judges undermining the will of the American people under control. Speaking of needing to get oneself under control, Tim Walz is making the rounds in the Democrats' latest attempt to win back young men because, well, he's truly a manly man who can fix cars and coaches football and stuff, and he can kick your ass, and you're a bad person. Watch this.
Have they figured it out that the identity piece of this is more important than the actual substance behind it?
Well, they've been doing it for decades. I mean, we've saw the welfare queens. They've seen the Southern strategy. We've seen it over and over. It's an old playbook, and we're as dumb as we want to be that we allow them to do this with CRT and ESG and DEI and every three-letter word.
And then they demonize people.
Yeah, demonize, and they weaponize grievance. They other people. They talk down to people, past people. They humiliate people. They weaponize difficult issues. But the bottom line is, and I think it goes back to what we began with, is, and I applaud you for this, is we cannot continue to be on the defense reacting to this. We've got to go on the offense. We got to meet people where they are. But I also think this, and this is where, this is part of the conversation I'm trying to have, is you got to respect people you disagree with, even, and you can't just dismiss people. This
How do you fight it?
And well, this
I think I could kick most of their ass. I do think that if they wanted to. I know I can outrun them, but I don't know if we're going to fall into that place where we want to. Okay, we challenge you to a WWE fight here type of thing.
No, but it's a natural reaction. I think it's one of the reasons we're losing so many men. And again, it's multi-ethnic. It's not just white men. We're losing them. We're losing them to these guys online. We're losing them people that I'm bringing on this podcast as well. That's why I brought.
These are bad guys, though. These
I
are
brought Charlie Kirk,
bad guys.
but they exist, and we could deny they exist. They exist. Not only they exist, they persist, and they're actually influencing young kids every single day.
How do we push some of those guys back under a rock?
I think we have to first understand what their motivations are. I think we have to understand what they're actually doing. And
you don't
I think
that's
it's
racism and misogyny?
I think there's a lot of that, but I don't think it's exclusively that. When you talk to a guy like Steve Bannon, he talks about working folks, and he talks about how we hollowed out the industrial core of this country.
But
I understand that, but
ugh. Every man watching that inherently knows that Tim Walz doesn't believe the words coming out of his own mouth. This whole act tough, say curse words, and pretend like you can fight thing doesn't work from the types of men like Walz, David Hogg, Doug Emhoff that the left is constantly pushing out there. They don't inspire any men. Why does Trump do so well with men? He's built a business. He's desired by women. He's showed incredible courage under fire, just to name a few. No man wants to be like Tim Walz. I'm sorry. And here is Leavitt just finishing him off.
Governor Walz saying last night he frequently checks Tesla stock, in doing so to, quote, give me a little boost during the day. How should Americans view politicians who take pride in the downfall of an American car company?
I think that's quite sad, but I think Governor Walz unfortunately is living a sad existence after his devastating defeat on November 5th.
A sad existence after his devastating defeat. Ouch. But this doesn't apply to just Tim Walz, but goes for the entire Democratic Party. Guys, make sure you subscribe for quick-hitting God-first commentary to keep you informed and in the truth on a daily basis. I appreciate all of you.